Hey guys, as you might notice here, if you have a keen eye, you might notice that there is no Odyssey event in the bottom left. And that is because today is the day where Init is now obtainable on global. Because some people have actually managed to get him. And one of those people is my good friend Sassy, Sassy Emotions. If anyone knows Sassy, shout out to Sassy, and he has Init already, which is really, really exciting. So, as someone who doesn't have a test server and has not been able to test Init early, I'm really excited. I had one of the first videos when he first came out and was like shadow dropped on us, and I've been eagerly awaiting for like the past 3 months or something like that, or 2 months for when he actually was obtainable. And Sassy was one of the first few people to get him, and I want to go over him quickly for you guys now. So here's the build I will be using in all of this testing. The places I want to test him are Gear Guild Boss 1, Guild Boss 2, and then I also want to try him in a couple of sorted areas, like maybe some gear raids, maybe Immortal Codex, wherever I feel like he might be useful. I don't have any really idea on where he might be good, but we're gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. So this is the build I will be using. This build specifically could be better offense wise, but I wanted to have him with a lot of HP for when I do Guild Boss 2, so that the build remains consistent for every piece of content. So as you can see here, if I look like on this piece or whatever, Sassy obviously has better pieces, right? But I'm going with this for the HP and the attack speed because Init at its core is a hybrid hero. He is a support and he is a damage dealer. That is how it is. So you want him with some good damage, and then you want him with a little bit of support. Here I'm just having attack speed so he gets his ult faster and all that stuff. But realistically, if we go over in its kit pretty quickly, his whole kit revolves around these ancient cores. And these ancient cores, essentially, he puts them on allies. They deal 20% of his attack, so you want to build him really high attack if you can. So full attack percent mains. And then he puts them on allies, and they keep attacking. So essentially, he's basically attacking twice all the time because this is essentially 4 on enemies. That's like 80% of his attack. And then he also has his normal attack, right? So it's like he's attacking twice. But he also has a couple other things. So keep in mind that his ancient cores refresh all the time. They constantly are coming back up, going away, stuff like that. So there will always be on about 4 allies at a time. Occasionally it'll cross over to 6 for like 2 seconds, but that's not important. He is max skilled. Thank you to Sassy for letting me max skill him. Skill ups are very hard to come by in this game, especially when you have every hero that you would ever need. But as you can see, his Oblivion mechanic is essentially everyone gets a concentrated beam, like right here in the video, and then eventually they will implode, deal a lot of damage. Very, very strong ultimate, especially with how it works. He and then the ancient cores all go away, and then he builds them up again. And then he has normal attack there. When attacking with ancient cores, has a 20% chance to deal an extra true damage equal to 30% of the attack one time, and heal the assigned ally for 20% of true damage dealt. So it's essentially a bit of healing, a bit of damage. Like I said, he's a hybrid damage dealer and support. And then over here is the thing that I think is the most interesting, and that is the damage increases, basically. So the ancient cores, which he puts on all the time, when you place him, it'll immediately put them out and then put damage increase 30% on everyone. And then afterwards, each of the cores that you assigned gives 15%, so about half. But it's essentially almost permanent on 4 allies. Obviously, the allies, it changes who it's on, but for the most part, you're always going to have 15% damage increase. So he's doing damage, 15% damage increase, doing a bunch of other stuff, healing, all of that stuff. Very, very interesting kit. So what I kind of wanted to try is replacing him with Laurel. So replacing Laurel in Guild Boss 1 with Init, and you'd be surprised on the performance that he did. But I'll get to that in a second. So first of all, we do have the Init Soulstone. I will not be using it at all to awaken him. I think that 80k Guild Boss is Guild Boss 2 to get the Init Soulstone is harder to do than getting Init in the first place. So keep that in mind. We have a max tier of Twilight because once again, damage. And let me just quickly show you guys the team that I will be using. If there is a better way to build this guy or use him, definitely tell me and maybe I'll do an updated video. This is first impressions. I just like got to tinkering with him for like the past half an hour or so. I have not had that much time. But here's the team I will be using. We're going to be using a Nightmare team and a Piercer team. We have Invig on 4 of these people. I will be putting the Invig on these 3 as well as Init just to try. So Lust and Salazar will not get Invig, so keep that in mind. And then we're going to be trying him on Laurel. Laurel inherently has an advantage with boosting everyone else because she will be giving out another piece of Invig. But I'm curious if Init's constant damage increase is somehow better for Guild Boss 1 or at least comparable to Laurel. Because if it is, it means he's really good in Guild Boss 1 because Laurel is just so game breaking for this. Now, the test has some RNG. Lust has RNG. Dolores has RNG. And we will not be cycling these 2 on the side, so just keep that in mind. Not the most perfect test, but I just really wanted to know how he would perform. So let me just quickly go over the run, and then I'll speed up the run a bit later on. Alright, so I had a run do pretty poorly since I skilled him. I did a test before skilling him that did better, so I'm gonna just quickly redo it. So, what we're gonna be doing here is we're going to be giving Invig to both of these heroes. As you can see, Invig on 1, Invig on the 2nd, and then we're gonna be putting down Hex right here, Silas right here, Dolores, then Hollow, so that everyone on the field is Invig, and then we're gonna be putting down Init and then Salazar. So as you can see, Init has a very, very wide range in how he distributes his damage increase things, as you could see. So we're just going to be putting him here so he can cover everyone. And this is also where you would put Laurel usually, which will help with the test I will be doing later. Now, Init, his initial cubes that he immediately puts out are 30% damage increase, which is a ton. So if you're like cycling him in or you just like place him down, he's going to have a really strong buff. And then in the future, it's going to go down to 15%. We then have the Invig buff right here, and then Hollow's Euphoric Orb buff right there. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be cycling ults as best we can. We do not have Rage Regen on this comp outside of Hollow, so just keep that in mind that it is not as crazy as it could be. Maybe taking out Salazar and putting something else in would be better, but it is hard to say. But we're just going to keep it going. As you can see, Init ult did a big laser attack. I will show you guys in a second it again. And it's going to be pretty cool. So Init, very, very fun hero from what I can see. And I'm definitely very excited to use him on my account when I actually am able to get him. Yeah, so here we go. Just triggering all the ults. Big beam attack followed by an implosion. Really, really cool stuff there. I'm unsure if using him like a buffer, you don't want to click that button, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But let's see what we can get going. And there we go, 71k with this team. And for some reason, I can't get back to my 75k. I got off camera before, but you could see that Init's doing some okay damage. Nothing exceptional, but it is what it is. Solar doing some decent damage. Lust doing 100 mil. Arrogance doing 100 or so. You know, Silas, Hex, all doing a ton of damage. Now, Laurel inherently has an advantage, but that is a pretty good showing from Init. Now, let's go over to Laurel quickly. This one, I'm not really going to explain how I do the run. I'm just going to do it. The only difference here is that I am also going to be giving Salazar Invig, just because if you have Laurel, you should be doing that already. So just keep that in mind. But here we're going to be doing Arrogance, followed by Laurel, followed by Lust, Salazar, Torador for Invig. We're going to then have Araka for Invig right here. We're going to be putting the units all in the same spot that we did before. And I'm just going to be having to manual the Laurel polling. So keep that in mind. It will be fairly inconsistent, but I'll do my best.
1 day later.
And there we go. So I got 75k here. And for some reason, when I did Init my first attempt, I got more blood. But for some reason, I got less on my future attempt. So if I can find a recording, or at least the clip of my my attempt, if I somehow manage to record it, I'll show it on the screen to show that like Init has potential. But for the most part, Laurel is better for this. But the fact that it's fairly close is kind of insane. Like you can tell that the damage increase is there, but it is still impressive to see Init there. So if you can find a team that uses Init well in Guild Boss 1 to his full potential and actually like uses him as a DPS and a damage increase option with Laurel, please tell me because I would be very interested. But overall, not worth using in Guild Boss 1 from what I can see, but he's still pretty solid. I mean, like he's an option if you need something or you just want to have fun, because overall that was more fun to use Init right there. But that is one test that I wanted to try. The other one being Apocalypse 2 of Guild Boss 2, and we're gonna be trying it out. So wish me luck. Here is the team I have assembled. We're gonna be running Nightmare, and then we are also going to be running the Arbiters for obvious reasons. Init is here, A0, max guild though, and we'll be inadvertently buffing Praetus both by being an Arbiter and also because he will be putting on his stacks. I think Jira will probably be better, or maybe even Salazar, but I am curious how well he will do. But this is a team, so this is a meta team in every way except Init, which is still pretty good. And let's just get into it. So everyone is geared in Soulbound Arcana for DPS, ideally with an emphasis on attack. And then the supports are all with Invig, right? So what I like to do on Guild Boss, for those of you who don't know, is I like to count the ground units. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is fine, but we will have to place everyone a little odd. So here I'm going to be doing it like this, constants like that. Then we are going to be having Lust. We're going to put down Eloin. We're going to put down Kratos right here. And then we can put down him like that, and then him like this. The reason why I put him here is because he's still going to cover everyone, so that should be completely fine. And hopefully this works out. Pretty haphazard placements there. Could be a bit better, but we're going to run it. I will probably speed up after a certain point, but for the most part, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be waiting until about this point right here. If you can see my mouse at the top, we're going to be waiting until around there, and then we will be going with all of our alts. But for now, we're just going to be triggering Praetus ult just to build up his stacks, because, you know, that's generally what you got to do. So now that we have it low, we're going to just immediately burst it with everyone and see what happens. So we got everyone triggered, and let's see how much damage we can do. I mean, it's pretty good, almost 6k. That's very solid for one phase, if I do say so myself. It is still a little bit weird, but for the most part, I think we should be doing pretty well. Init is putting out his things. As you can see, they're above Lust, Constance, Praetus right now, all of that good stuff. We obviously want it to be on Praetus the most because we want him to get boosted. But as you can see right here on the stats, Praetus is insanely good. Arrogance, Alistair. Init somehow is out damaging Lust despite not having any like boosts, and I forgot to trigger the alts there. Whoops. But it's still crazy that Init is out damaging Lust. I don't exactly understand that, but the fact that there's so much damage there is really impressive. Like, holy, that's amazing. I assume that that's not gonna last, but the fact that it's currently like that is ridiculous. Ridiculously impressive. So let me just quickly speed it up and I'll show you guys the results at the end. Editing Destined here. This run took like 20 minutes, maybe even more. And I don't know how to compact it into a video, making it interesting. So here's just a little bit of what I did. I essentially just spammed alts. You know how it is. And I ended at the end because I effed it up by being bored. And I forgot to click an alt and I lost. So fix skill bus suit, please move on. It bothers me. It's so lame. So I lost at the end mostly because of stupidity and a lack of really wanting to keep going. It's been so freaking long. I'm not gonna save this because Sassy could easily do over 150k. But as you can see, the damage is pretty crazy. I don't really know what happened there, but the fact that we have Praetus doing 300 mil is crazy. But Init surprisingly did really well. Like I'm shocked. Cause sure, he's on a Praetus team or whatever, right? But he's still like he still did over 100 mil on his own for damage. Like that's ridiculously good. And he's also giving damage increase to everyone else. So he's also buffing their damage. Like this is a ton of damage by Praetus. If I remember correctly, his Praetus when he went for 150k or so did close to 500 mil. So the fact that this Praetus is doing kind of close to that is really impressive. It is very impressive. I think Init, for people who do not have every hero in the game, will find a place on some of these teams. I think he does have a place in Guild Boss 2. Is he going to be revolutionary? Is he going to be fully meta? No. No, he is not. But is he good? Yes. He is a good option. He's a buffer that also does good damage, especially in Guild Boss 2. And I didn't even use his A1, which if you're going to be getting to this point, you would have the A1. And this would give a couple more buffs. It would give some more Init damage. You know how it is. Init. Now, I want to kind of quickly test certain things where I think he might be good. Like Lord of Styx, I'm mostly curious on if he even works. So here's what I'm going to be using here. I'm basically just going to be using Init. The rest of the team literally doesn't matter. But I just want to see if his orb things actually do damage. Like certain amounts of hits. Because if so, then if you get Init, then you could just use him with stuff like Helga and get a lot of stuff out of him. So I'm just going to place down these guys right here. And we're going to see if the ticks go down right here. So here we're looking. And it looks like yes. So he does actually work in Styx. I could definitely see you finding a way to use a team properly. Like this is some good amount of hits, right? So he is a viable option for Styx if you don't have Setram, if you don't have Helga, if you don't have, Yovar, if you don't have any of the meta options, or you're missing one or two meta options, and it's definitely good. I don't think he'll have a place in the top tier teams with like Yovar, Silas, Helga, Setram. Sure, he probably won't be used, right? But he's going to be very, very solid in Styx. Let me just quickly do a run off camera and then I'll show you guys what I end up getting. So it should be on the screen right here. Pretty good stuff right there. If you have an off meta team or you don't even have like Praetus or Yovar or something, he's definitely going to have a place in Styx. Now the other place I wanted to use him in was Guild v Guild. But Guild v Guild, I tried for a bit. I can't make a good defense within it. I just can't. Like at all. I tried to figure it out. It doesn't work. So to kind of go over Init as a whole from all of my testing, I tested him in Go Boss 1, Go Boss 2, Styx. He's okay. I would rate him maybe like an A tier hero overall in terms of legendaries, maybe even a B plus. Currently, he's just so underwhelming. He suffers from the thing that most hybrid characters suffer from in this game, which is they do by doing multiple things, they're really bad at doing specific things, if that makes sense. He's basically like good everywhere, but he's not usable everywhere if you're like at all past in the game. And by the time you get him, generally he's not going to be that useful for you. I think the area he's the best in is in Guild Boss 2, purely because you can use him with Praetus, and he actually has some good synergy there, some good damage, and all of that stuff. So he's pretty decent there. He's fine in Guild Boss 1 is what I saw. He might be really good in Styx. I think Styx is the most promising area as well. But those three areas are like the only areas I would even consider using him. Because the way his kit works makes it so I wouldn't use him in any of these. I tried Gear Dungeon 2, his damage output's not enough. I tried him in Gear Dungeon 1, same thing. Single target sucks. Gear Aid 3, magic doesn't work. Gear Aid 2, he doesn't, once again, do enough damage. And then Gear Aid 1, he doesn't do AoE. So, like, if there's anywhere else you think Init would be good, definitely tell me. But for now, he seems a bit lackluster overall, but still a good free unit. He's still like a top 3 free unit, maybe like a top 5. Definitely a worthwhile addition to your team and can fulfill some roles, but he's not that exceptional. Like his healing output's really garbage, and his damage increase is essentially it. It's just his damage output and his damage increase is the only reason I would use him. But yeah, so that's everything I have for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you would like. This was probably the hardest unit to test I've ever tested in this game. I did not enjoy it at all, but he was fun. And it is very fun. I will give him that. So, uh, once again, tell me if you're excited for getting him. Tell me if he kind of let you down a little bit like he did to me. And yeah, that's about it for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for Sassy for letting me his account. And that's it from me. Destined signing out.